Ann is the author of 3 books, a cross-country cyclist, an attorney, and an entrepreneur. She's from Chicago, San Francisco, New Jersey, and Charleston, and she's never met an insignificant person. A warm welcome for Ann Tardy.
I was on a dusty road in the middle of Kansas on a bicycle, and out on the horizon, I saw a storm, a huge storm, and it was barreling toward me. And like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, I thought I could out-pedal it, but quickly knew I couldn't. So I jumped off the bike and into a ditch to try to take some cover. And then a pickup truck pulled over, rolled down the window, and a man named Pete said, "Would you like some protection until the rain and the wind passes?" Without hesitation, I jumped in the cab. And after exchanging some niceties, I said, "So, Pete, what do you do?" And he said, "I'm a professor of agriculture." I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. What do you love about that?" And he sort of looked at me, and he paused, like they all did when I asked that question. And he said, "Well, I love that I am creating the future generation of farmers. And I love that my boss lets me teach in the way that I know is best." You see, I was on a cross-country bike ride with a quest to discover what people love about their jobs. But this is not how I originally planned to ride across the country. In fact, I went to law school in Chicago, and I did not have a car, and I rode my bike everywhere, and I fell in love with cycling. I knew on those 2 wheels that I could see more, hear more, connect more with people than I ever could in a car. I loved cycling. And as I was graduating from law school, trying to figure out what to do next with my life, I saw an ad on TV, and it said, "Ride across America." And I thought, wow, that sounds fantastic. Maybe that's what's next for me. So I called my mom, my biggest champion. I said, "Mom, I'm thinking of riding across the country instead of taking the bar exam." That's what she did. And then she said, in all seriousness, "Ann, we have been through so much. Just take the bar." I said, okay. I took the bike ride, the trip, I put it on the shelf, I took the bar, I moved out to Silicon Valley, and I became a startup and attorney. And I loved my job. And I ended up cycling around California as my consolation prize. So fast forward 20 years, I've transitioned from a startup attorney to a startup client. I launched a mentoring software company to help people and organizations learn from each other, connect, and love their jobs. And it was during the Great Recession that Gallup came out with their research that said 73% of employees hate their jobs. And then the articles started coming, everyone with their predictions. When this recession is over, there will be a mass exodus. Everyone's going to quit their jobs. People hate working for you. And I thought, this sounds ridiculous. I've always loved my jobs. Everyone I know loves their job. Maybe I could prove them wrong. I need to talk to people around the country and show that people actually love their jobs. Now, I could call them on the phone, or I could go to where they work on a bike. So I took that bike ride off the shelf, and I decided to do my cross-country bike ride. So I bought an RV, and I plastered it with the words, "America, tell us why you love your job." And then I hired a film student right out of school, and I said, "You drive the RV and all my stuff, and you help me capture the interviews I'm going to have with people, and we'll create a documentary. We'll highlight people around the country who love their jobs and dispel this research." So, after 67 days, 4,200 miles, hundreds of interviews, I discovered 3 things. 1, people don't think they love their jobs. Mostly because we're not talking about it. I was at the kickoff for my bike ride. My family and friends around me were at Crissy Field, right underneath the San Francisco Bridge. I'm surrounded by champions, people who I love, and I know they love their job. So I said, let's start the interviews right now. Cousin Lynn, you are a flight attendant for 20 years. You love your job. You be our first interview. And she said, I don't love my job. Oh, okay. Sherry, you're a presentation teacher. You love your job. You be our interview. I don't love my job. Oh, Scott? Steve? Bob? Somebody? No, nobody claimed to love their job. And I was getting very flustered. I thought this documentary is going to be a bust. So I said, probingly, come on, there's got to be something you love about your job. And they all said, well, of course. I love helping people go on vacation. I love solving problems. I love helping those customers. I love my boss. And then I realized, I was asking the wrong question. So while the RV had the wrong words on it, it said, why do you love your job? I quickly changed my question to, what do you love about your job? And everyone I talked to around the country had something to say. The second thing I discovered is that regardless of title, people love making a difference. They just want their work to matter. The third thing I discovered was sort of by accident. As I was having these conversations, I asked people, curiously, well, tell me about your boss. How does he or she support you? And they all said, my boss encourages me, wants me to continue doing this. So the boss is instrumental in this job love that people had. A couple examples. 1, I met Juana. She's a flagger in Nevada. Standing out there in the dusty desert with that sign that says, stop, slow, stop, slow. And she stopped me. And I said, Juana, you're in the middle of nowhere. What do you love about your job? And she said, I love that I'm in charge out here. I am responsible for keeping these truckers safe. I love that my boss gives me the responsibility over this entire area. Trust me that much. I was in Ohio, and I met Jerome, a telemarketer. I said, Jerome, no one wants your job. What do you love about your job? And he said, I love that when I pick up the phone, it's a no. It's an immediate no, but I get to turn that no into a conversation. Now, sometimes I have to take on a different persona, like Captain America or Mr. Incredible or Superman. But my boss, she lets me. Gives me that freedom to do just that. And then I met Ed Lane in Raritan, New Jersey on one of the hottest days of the year. It was 113 degrees. The asphalt was melting under us. And he is driving a garbage truck. And I said, Ed, nobody wants to be in New Jersey right now, let alone driving a garbage truck. Tell us, what do you love about your job? And he said, Ann, I've been doing it for 18 years. And I am responsible for those clean communities. That's mine. I love that. I also love that my boss asks me to mentor the new kids that come onto the force and help them be very successful in this role. I love that. So 3 jobs that none of us aspire to, 3 people with job love because they know that their work matters, and 3 bosses that encourage that. So now I ask you, as leaders, could we take on joy and job love as our responsibility? Now, that's kind of odd, isn't it? Because when you think of joy at work, you think of motivational posters and birthday celebrations. So then, why doesn't that work It's because people find joy when their work matters. All right, then, what can we do as their boss? How can we make a difference there? Well, studies from Brigham Young University reveal that when people share positive experiences, it actually increases their energy, their well-being, and their satisfaction. So in other words, talking about our job love, talking about the difference we make and how our work matters actually makes us feel good. But the researchers noted something very important, that when you share about your job love and those positive experiences, you need to be met with a positive response. What that means is, as the boss, we need to say, wow, that's great. Thank you for making a difference. Wow, your work really matters to what we're doing. That's our positive response. Now, isn't it so simple that we can bring joy and fuel this job love in such an easy way? We can just get people talking about job love, asking them about it, and then applauding them. We can do it in a one-on-one conversation. We can do it in a meeting. We ask for updates every Friday on projects. Why aren't we asking people, what difference did you make this week and how can I help you do more of that? It's so simple. Now, I bought my RV in California because that's where my ride was starting. It was at Cruise America, and I met James, the manager of the location. And as I got to know him, I said, James, what do you love about your job? And he said, I love that I get to make work a better place for these people. And he said, one thing I noticed is that when I give people decision capabilities, it actually shifts them from being negative to positive. But of course, that makes sense. It aligns with all of this research that when people can make a decision, their work matters. And that's job love. So as you leave this session and go into the rest of the conference, you are going to meet new people. And you're going to have that go-to question. So what do you do? But don't end the conversation with an exchange of titles. Instead, respond curiously. Say, interesting. Tell me more. What do you love about your job? Your question will spark their joy, and their answer will spark your own. Thank you.
Anne was such a wonderful and dynamic speaker. And I love what she's doing to get people to think about how much they love their jobs. I hope that every executive and leader out there is listening to what she has to say, because it's such an important message.
That was so amazing. I really saw everything happening, her ride across the country. And I love the question, what do you love about your job? Because if you can't answer that, maybe you're doing the wrong thing. But I think people who do work will find that, and that will definitely spark joy.
So I'm a multiple business owner, and I just heard a talk by Ann Tardy that really motivated me to look at the way I speak to my employees in a different way. They know what they love about their job. I need to remember to ask them. And when an accomplished woman like Ann, an attorney and an author, and having done cross-country bicycling trips, can give me these words of wisdom, I just loved it. Thanks.